manufacturing is dead in the United States. Well, one car company says think again. The Japanese player Subaru is doubling down on the US market and expanding its presence right here in the United States. Tom Dole is the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Subaru America. Good morning.
Morning, Simon. How you doing?
I'm good. So what is the announcement here?
Well, so far we're having a great year. We're up almost 30% for the year. The month of November, we're up 60%.
In sales, in terms of sales?
In terms of sales, yeah. So business is real strong for us, and that's allowing us to expand our manufacturing capacity at our factory in Indiana.
How many jobs?
Well, right now there's about 2,200 associates, probably expanding closer to 2,500 to 2,800. And then later this year, we're going to be making a decision whether or not we're going to be bringing out another one of our car lines from Japan to produce at our factory in Indiana.
That sounds like a challenge to local politicians. What are you seeking for them to help you in that decision?
Well, we already have the factory in Indiana, so I'm not so sure. I think the biggest thing for us is making sure we can get the appropriate air rights at the factory to make sure we can produce the number of cars that we can produce out there.
I mean, you are the epitome of the Japanese nightmare. This is for years what the Japanese industry has warned about. If you don't control dollar-yen, if you don't keep the yen down relative to the dollar, then we are going to lose jobs around the rest of the world. And they wouldn't typically say to the United States, it would be to lower cost producers. So has the Fed's ability to keep the dollar down influenced your decision? Are you partly here because of QE from the Fed?
No, there's no question about it. With the yen at 77, 82 yen to the dollar, there's tremendous pressure on profitability. And that requires us then to rethink how we're manufacturing cars, because if they're manufactured over in Japan, obviously we've got to have the vessel costs, and then we have the inland transportation costs, versus if it's produced in the United States, we have a lot less in terms of inland transportation out to our dealers and retailers.
Will all the cars made in the U.S. be sold in the U.S., or will they be shipped overseas?
Probably a small quantity would be shipped overseas, but most of what is produced here stays here and is sold here, yes.
We've seen a lot of automakers add a shift, add a line. We've not seen a lot of new capital construction, right? A new factory per se. Are we getting closer to that moment, or is that just too far afield right now?
Well, for us, I think we're getting closer to it. We're getting closer to make that decision. I don't know it would be a new factory versus more an expansion of the factory that we have currently in Indiana. We have a huge facility out there. It's over 500 acres of property that we own and control, so the ability to expand our capacity is there once we make the decision to do so.
And what is the talk in the industry? Do you think this is the beginning of a major trend?
It depends on the manufacturers. I think, when you looked at what the bankruptcies that went through with General Motors and Chrysler and so forth, a lot of capacity was taken out of the system. And as a result, there could be the potential for new capacity to be added in. And, of course, it all depends on each individual manufacturer. Each manufacturer is different.
Well, you mentioned some significant sales increases. How much of that is due to overall what we're seeing are sales increases throughout the auto industry, and how much is Subaru specific?
Well, the industry this year is up about 15% so far year to date. We're up about 30%. So we've been double. And as the industry...
Why?
Why? Because, well, this year we had 3 new products that we introduced. We introduced the Impreza in the spring, and then we introduced the BRZ, which is an outstanding sporty car that we've got. And then about 2 months ago, we introduced a car called the XV Crosstrek, which is built off of our Impreza line.
But you're also coming from a low base. That's why you get a pop.
That's true.
I mean, you are, correct me if I'm wrong, 2% of the market at the moment, roughly. If we sell 50 million cars a year,
right,
you're at 300,000.
This year will be about 330,000, somewhere north of 330,000 when it's all said and done.
Are you going to see any impact at all from Sandy? Are you seeing any near term? I mean, given that you do have a significant presence in this region?
Good question. We probably thought we lost about 1,000 sales last month when the hurricane occurred, and we're gaining that back this month, and plus a little bit of alpha.
Are the gains because those sales have been pushed forward into December, or how much of that is replacement vehicles that were simply just destroyed in the hurricane?
I think a lot of it is replacement vehicles. Mm-hmm. Maybe a smaller amount was deferred demand. But there's no question that the hurricane has had some impact, particularly in the Northeast, North Jersey, Long Island, the areas that were impacted by Sandy.
Do you take out promotions there? Do you say, actually, this is where there's going to be a demand for new cars? I mean, do you suddenly kind of get your skates on and think this is a market opportunity?
Well, we're offering a small incentive to those folks that were impacted by Sandy as our way of saying thank you, for purchasing a Subaru. and also to help them to defray some of the other costs that they've had to incur with losing home and property and that kind of thing.
Good luck with the business, Mr. Dole. Nice to meet you.
Thank
Tom
you, Simon.
Dole, Chief Operating Officer for Subaru America.